views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program host and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by TCN TV Network Incorporated. Due to the social nature of this broadcasting channel, videos may contain content copyrighted by another entity or person. The TCN TV Network claims no rights to the said content. TCN TV Network cannot be held accountable for the copyrighted content. TCN TV Network is a messenger and sharer of information and strives to verify but cannot warrant the accuracy of copyrights or completeness of the information on this program.
With so many newspapers within the community, it's sometimes hard to tell what separates us from the rest. Most of the time, they all brag about the same thing. You know, the large circulations, tons of online views, and it can go on and on. But what really separates the Toronto Caribbean newspaper apart from everybody else? Well, it's simple. Our service. No, seriously. Hi, I'm Grant Browning, founder and CEO of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. I have over 20 years of branding and marketing experience, and I've worked with countless companies and corporations to do one thing, and that is to raise their profits with their brand. With over 40 years of combined experience in branding and marketing, our amazing staff is fully prepared to sit down and figure out exactly what you need to stand out from your competitors.
The reason why you don't see that anymore is because
the ad is too powerful, bring too much people.
So what are you waiting for? Give us a call today. We'll be happy to help.
Hello, good morning, everyone. This is Andrew Perrie from the Daily Reel. We are live here from the TCN studios in Brampton. I'm truly honored to introduce my next guest, Andrew Fogliato, not to be confused with Andrew Fogliato. The G is silent.
That's right.
From Just Sell Homes. Andrew, thank you for coming on, by the way.
Thanks for
really
having me.
Appreciate it. Andrew and I first met, I think, as a lot of our guests do on Real Estate Hacks, I think. Probably from where it all started.
Unless we met at like a conference before that.
Maybe. Actually,
possible.
no, the first conference is where I first actually met you in person, in real life, was at the Kathleen Black.
Yeah, that's probably it.
So Andrew is the owner of Just Sell Homes, which is an advertising and marketing company for realtors, right? Exclusively realtors?
No, so it's the real estate industry. So we work with
whole.
brands and tech companies and other stuff like that. And then we have a few non-real estate clients. It's just by referral.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
But the
Primarily.
Right, and the it's just primarily Facebook, or are you branching out now?
Or so it's anything online. So we'll like. Right now, our bread and butter is Facebook ads because that's where we're getting the best results. But we have clients that we do everything from email marketing. We help them with their CRM, websites. Like we do a little bit of everything.
How important is email marketing?
Huge. It's like one of the highest ROIs, and it's for the most part free.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you an example. We had Heather Beauchesne, one of our clients in Barrie.
Yep.
She had 300 plus just dead leads. And what we mean by dead leads was like 3 months or longer with zero contact. So no one had talked to them, anything. It was just like 100% dead lead to her. Sent out one email and she got 3 deals.
Wow.
Like it
crazy.
works. Like if you know what you're doing. The problem is most people suck at email.
It's true. Well, I know. It's kind of like, well, I'm on top of it all the time. Yeah. But it's kind of like the way voicemails are to some people.
Yeah.
Like I'll check my voicemail and I'll be like, you have 8 new messages. When did that happen?
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think email marketing is still a huge business opportunity. Like our open rate, I think I've got 4,000, and our open rate is 67%. Yeah. Click rate is around 42. Yeah. So there's a lot of potential. But before we go into the actual meat and potatoes of what you do and how you help realtors and the people in the real estate industry space, let's talk about a little bit of the beginning. That's how I like to do it on the show. I like to do things chronologically. So tell me, how did you start out? You were a
I was
realtor
an
at
yeah,
first?
so I was an agent. So I actually came from construction. So I was a concrete forming estimator.
Oh,
And
wow. I
then
didn't know that.
yeah, so that was my original in the real estate industry. And then I bought a house because I did pretty well with as in concrete forming 'cause there's good money there. So I bought a house when I was pretty young. I think I was like 23. And we had an agent who I actually thought she was wonderful, but she cost us the house we really wanted, and I just kind of made an offhand, I could do a better job. And my wife
I think a lot of people say
basically,
that.
yeah, my wife basically just said, "All right, prove it." So I ended up getting my license, and then I actually met with a broker, and I interviewed all the big ones in my town, and the one that I actually wanted to go to, he's like, "Oh, yeah, you're gonna do this part time while you're a concrete forming estimator." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, well, then you're not really the type of person we want at our brokerage." And I was like, "Huh, interesting." So I quit my job and joined the brokerage. And then, yeah, so I sold for 2 years. And then I got recruited by like the brand I was with to end up training for the brand. So I ended up traveling mostly Ontario, but like we did some in the US too because they have US regions.
Right.
So I ended up traveling kind of Ontario, Atlantic Canada, and parts of the US training agents.
Mhm.
So I did that. But then every time you train agents, they're like, "Can you just do it for me?"
And so so you're training agents on digital
Yeah.
marketing?
So at the time, I was actually branded as the Evernote guy. So if you wanted to learn how to use Evernote to go paperless, I
Yep.
was the Evernote guy. That's what I did. I did sessions on leveraging Evernote, which is really more just business systems, and we used Evernote to implement the systems in a business. So that's kind of how I did and help people go paperless. And then we started like more and more into lead gen because I was the first trainer at the time they'd had that had actually sold a house before. So like we started getting more into like, okay, how do you actually get clients and do
Right.
that? And again, people just kept being like, "Can we hire you?" And I had to keep saying no. And then like ended up not working there anymore. And so I called up my mentor from when I sold, who had tried to originally recruit me onto his team to run their digital
Yeah.
back when I sold. And I was like, "So I'm gonna actually just start a business doing this. Do you want to be my first client for $1,000 a month, and I'll handle your online stuff for you?" And he goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "By the way, I need 6 months up front." And he goes, "Okay." Had the check by the end
Wow.
of the day. So second call, same thing.
And so is this kind of when Facebook marketing was still fairly young? Well, it's been out, but
Young-ish, like so the company's now been it's 4 years, just over 4 years old.
yep.
So I mean, when I sold Facebook ads, like no one else was doing them.
Right.
You could do it so ridiculously cheap. 4 years ago, they were still pretty cheap, but they also weren't as effective for some things because not all the functionality was out that
The
you have now.
targeting
So like
abilities.
what you can do now compared to what you can do then, like cost per lead might be a little bit higher, but you can get so many more like ways to generate leads and do things that I actually think it's probably more effective now than it was 3 or 4 years ago.
Right. And I mean, because even when I first started, what was that, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, because I did a lot of prep work before I actually got licensed.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything illegal or anything like that by promoting, but just, starting to prepare, like documenting the process of, me getting started. But I remember the views, leads, like they were so cheap.
Yeah. The biggest difference though is organic's gone.
Yeah.
Well, to a degree.
Right. So that's basically what happened. So a mix of that and competition that's driving the prices up a little bit.
Yeah, but there's still like
I see
it's
some
still
of
by far
the stuff you
cheapest.
post. Like
Yeah.
Andrew does share a lot of his results in some of his groups and some of the other private groups that we have, and like those lead costs are pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
And you still get some that go high. Like we have one right now, which is just bugging me. We're at like $14 a lead on a listing, which is ridiculous. Like normally it's $1 to $5 a lead.
Yeah, yeah.
And like you get some that are lower, some that are higher. Like we did one for a guy in Aurelia. We were at like 60 cents a lead, which is
That's crazy.
ridiculous. But then on the flip side, you get the odd that's like 7, 8, 9, and balances it out.
So before do you guys help? Who's doing the converting? The agents themselves?
Yeah, well, so a majority of our packages, we do have some kind of higher end packages where we
Yeah.
start getting into like we'll actually set up the email stuff that goes
Right.
out and doing all that. Like we'll never call a lead for someone.
Right. Right.
But in terms of like the automated text, the automated emails, things like that, we at the higher end client stuff, we start getting into doing that for them too.
Cool. So you got your first paycheck, and how did you develop that into a business?
So I already knew like what I wanted to do
Yeah.
right away, which was like manage people's online stuff. And then I just started because like Remax, which is the brand I was
Yeah.
working with, they kind of propped me up as the expert. it's actually pretty easy to get clients early on.
Yeah.
Because like literally the biggest brand is parading you around as the
Right.
go-to resource for it for a while, and then at least I guess people liked me. So when I was like, you can hire me now, it
Yeah.
became pretty consistent. So like I think it was 6 weeks I'd replaced my entire salary.
Wow.
So I never had that story of like, oh, I couldn't eat for, this long, or I was broke and I couldn't pay myself for the first year. No, like I replaced my salary so fast that
Yeah.
like I didn't even qualify for EI.
Wow.
Like it was very, very fast. Like that first week we brought in like $11,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was
That's crazy.
fast.
That's a crazy feat. Because I mean, as somebody, when I was getting into the real estate space, I tried to start a marketing company, but it was more from a design standpoint.
Yeah.
I was running some Facebook ads for a couple of smaller clients, mostly my friends. Wasn't really charging too much. But then I realized really quickly that if you wanted to properly manage these clients, you couldn't be a realtor or have any other jobs.
Yeah.
So essentially,
and I was burnt out. Like
Yeah, right.
And we've done a lot of changes. Like early on, we were actually pretty cheap. Like it was $425 a month for just managing your Facebook ads, or $1,000 will manage your whole presence.
Right.
Which is way too cheap.
Right. Absolutely.
And I got up pretty quickly to when it was just me, no help,
Yep.
like no assistant, anything, and got up to like 17, 18 grand a month on $425 a month packages.
Wow.
And
Holy smokes.
I had to work 15, 16-hour days, and the results weren't that great because like the biggest challenge we found early on, which I didn't learn until a bit later, is that we were reliant on their website converting leads.
Wow.
So we could send really cheap traffic to their site. Like we were getting 4-cent clicks, 5-cent clicks, 10-cent clicks, but their website still had to convert.
Right.
So now the way we do it is we either want to be the one setting up the website, which we don't do that often because we're not a website company, but we'll create landing pages or use Facebook lead ads to eliminate the need for their website to be any good.
Wow.
Because it just became too much of a pain to rely on someone else's site to actually convert the traffic.
Right. And this is one of these topics that I get so excited about that we've kind of gone over our time for our commercial break, but we're going to take our commercial break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about digital marketing on Facebook a little bit more.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
Hello everyone, my name is Jermaine Chambers, and I'm very excited to tell you about the newest political and current affairs program coming here to Brampton. It's called On Point.
The first step of true reconciliation is learning more about one another.
Join us on Tuesdays from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. as we discuss all the issues.
I will never forget the trust you put in me.
Municipal, provincial, federal, and any issue of national importance we will talk about on Point. So do join us.
Okay, and we're back. Thank you very much for sticking with us. So before we went on the break, we were talking about Facebook ads, from the beginning to where they are now. And our guest, Andrew Fogliato, runs Just Sell Homes, which is, lead generation, but you also do kind of presence marketing as well.
Yeah, like we kind of beginning, we're known as the lead gen company. We're transitioning a bit more towards just like online building, because like lead gen is just like one aspect of the online strategy. We kind of specialize in niche bid and direct response marketing right now, but I really like the full content marketing plays. So that's kind of like where I'm actually more passionate about than just straight direct response.
So for the average realtor that is kind of looking to get started, maybe they just got their license, maybe they've just started their business, How can they get started in Facebook ads?
So I wouldn't actually start right away with Facebook ads if you're brand new.
Okay.
I mean, Facebook ads are incredibly powerful, but you have to have something that it's promoting and doing.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, like you could leverage someone in your office's listing to get really cheap leads in and start calling, but you're still paying cost per lead. Like
Right.
early on, no matter what, like your database is still going to provide you more money.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you don't know anyone in your market, I would put more of my focus early on growing my database locally.
Right.
And then you can do things with Facebook organically and Instagram organically. Like to me, Facebook ads, for the most part, you want to bring in a little bit later
Okay.
because it's not something like you need right away. And I think
Mhm.
that's a big mistake that people make online in general is they try to do everything right from the beginning.
Yes.
Like the most popular thing we
I
do
made
with a
that
new
mistake.
client,
So.
we shut down a lot of their stuff when we start with them. Like maybe there's 5 agents in North America who actually do something good on Twitter.
Right.
Like they don't need Twitter.
True.
Like I actually got quite a bit from Twitter when I sold, but
Right.
I was active and engaging. Like we
Yeah.
see it all the time. Like most people can shut down Twitter. Most people can shut down Pinterest.
Yeah.
Most people can shut down Snapchat. Like I would say, like start with Instagram or
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, depending on your audience, and just
Mm-hmm.
master one or both of those. Then you could look at bringing in more.
So when you say shut down, do you suggest people actually like shut down their accounts?
So I would keep them live. I would either lock them so
Mhm.
that no one sees anything, or I would
Yeah,
just
that's
pin
a
a
good idea.
post at the top being like, "We're not active on this site. Please visit us here to get in touch."
That's a good idea. Because I mean, you shouldn't always judge agents by their online presence, but I mean, come on, 2019, I think it's a good idea if that helps or it comes into play. But when I see a realtor who's got, the last post was maybe 2015 or 2016, I just kind of judge their judgment on what it takes to become a successful realtor. So then now let's say this. Let's say they've been in business maybe a few months, maybe a year. They've started to make a little bit of money. They've got a good database. Maybe they just don't know that they could afford somebody to take on their entire social media. What do you suggest their next step is?
So first you have to make the decision, do I want to run which strategy? Like to oversimplify online marketing, there's basically 2 strategies.
Yeah.
Direct response marketing and content marketing. You have to first decide which one you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Direct response marketing, the beauty of it is you get leads today. Like if you turn on now, you'll have leads by the end of the day.
Right.
They'll start coming in. Like it's a grind. It's better than cold calling, but it's a numbers game. You got to know how many calls
Still
to
a
make,
grind.
what your conversion is. And there's people who love it and kill it that way. But again, like you're talking for the most agents, you're at a 1 to 2% conversion rate.
Yeah.
It's a really low thing. Like some of the better ones are in the 4 to 6% range. And you can make a very, very good business that way. But then the other side of it's content marketing. It's kind of like farming a neighborhood. Like it takes a lot longer, but the ROI long term could be huge.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it passively will start generating leads the more you do it.
Right.
Because you've built up a bit of brand equity with it. So you kind of got to figure out which direction makes sense for you.
I agree because I know people in my market in Niagara who are doing the direct response and they have full-time people either calling them or they've gotten their sales team so good at handling them that that's all they do. And other than billboards and things like that, you kind of wouldn't think that they're such a big player in the real estate industry because I'm not saying that they feel transactional about their business, but they definitely take that approach. And where I come from is more of a content-based, where you're right. It is a better in terms of ROI. It's difficult because you have to measure what kind of ROI you would get from both sides. But where did that come from in terms of the lead gen? So when I do content marketing, it's more focused on how I service my clients, and it's fun creatively. But what I find is when I get the leads, they've usually built up that brand recognition, so they know me, they feel like they know me, and it's a little bit easier to work with them, right? But direct response, you're absolutely right. It's a good way to get those leads now.
And like early on, if you have the budget, like start with direct response, get leads coming in and answer them as you're building up your content. And then you can eventually make that switch or ramp both up depending on the results and the size of your team. Like doesn't necessarily have to do one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a little bit of like incongruency when you're looking at both simultaneously, depending on how you structure your brand.
Right.
But at the end of the day, there's no reason you couldn't do both until like the content one's really going.
Right. Okay. So then let's take it to the next step. They're starting to make even more money. They've had some success with their own Facebook lead campaigns.
Yeah.
But now they're getting it to a point where it's dry, it's stabilizing, it's plateauing, and now they need somebody like yourself to help service them. What's their next step?
Just give us a call.
Yeah, right.
And it depends on how in depth you want us to go. Like we have packages kind of on the lower end, and then I mean, depends if you're hiring us on like a monthly.
Mm-hmm.
The smallest investment generally is about $1,250 a month right now, and then it goes up to thousands. Like I think our top client right now, before ad spend, is at like $5,500 a month.
Wow.
So like it does now. That's a huge like
ridiculous
ridiculous
leads
size
a month or
oh,
more.
It's a whole different thing when you're at like that level of thing that you're doing. Like before they even came to us, leads weren't even an issue for them.
So then how are those ad strategies working? I mean, so for me, I thought I was the best, but it's because Facebook advertising at that time when I started was easy, and then everything started to change, and then I lost my mind and I got overwhelmed and I didn't want to do it anymore. I don't know how to retarget, and how important is retargeting to an ad campaign.
So retargeting is amazing. Now, it depends on your strategy. So if you're doing like, I want direct response to get as many leads as possible, we generally will allocate about 30% of the budget to retargeting. And a lot of that's bringing people back. So like people who came to a landing page, didn't opt in, we bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
Or you get a lead, let's hammer them for the first few days after they became a lead with some trust building ads so that when you're making those follow-up calls, they've been seeing your stuff. Now, if you don't have that, you can go other routes and do things like we're actually going to launch, we're just figuring out pricing right now. Because we get asked a lot, like, I just want to target my database. I want my database to know I'm still alive. But they don't necessarily want to run these big lead gen campaigns. And so, like, just transparency, we're trying to decide if the right price is $199 or $299 a month, including ad spend, where you send us your database and we'll run branding ads to the database for you.
Interesting.
And now you can just run ads continually only to your database.
So what do we do? Do we just send their contact info, like their
you just go to CSV.
Email,
like if you have a CRM, you just like even on Facebook, if you're doing it yourself, you just upload your CSV file to Facebook, and then it takes the names, email, and phone numbers and matches it to Facebook accounts.
Wow,
so
it's crazy.
If we upload consumers, we'll generally find between a 60 to 70% match rate. So if you have 100 people, you're going to get 60 or 70 of them that we found on Facebook. Like we won't see the profiles, and we don't know which ones they match. We just know like roughly that's audience size, what happens, and then you just run ads to them that way. If you were to target agents, it's only about a 40% rate, because a lot of agents, you have their professional email address and then you signed up with their personal. So it doesn't always match the same way. So it's not as effective as a tool if you're like a team recruiting agents or like a broker recruiting agent. So you have to do other things. But targeting agents is so easy on Facebook. You don't need their emails.
Right. They're everywhere.
And if you know the strategies with interest targeting, it's so easy to reach them.
Okay, guys, we're going to take our next break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Andrew about leveraging your business community, to run a successful business.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. May your dreams all come true. Happy birthday to you.
refuse to promote, report on anything negative in the community.
My name is Trish Curling, and I am an online coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher, and your new host of Shaping Life, which is all about understanding that we have the ability and the control to take charge of our health and wellness. But we can't do it alone, and I can't wait to sit down with the best in the industry. Please tune in every Friday at 1 p.m. live here on the TCN Network.
Okay, welcome back, guys. We have been learning a lot about Facebook marketing. I'm here with Andrew Fogliato from Just Sell Homes. Now we're going to get into a little bit of, how Andrew leverages his community to create, more clients, a successful business. So, Andrew, you do a lot of things. You do a podcast show just like me, Over a Pint. So, tell me a little bit about that show. What kind of guests are you interviewing?
It's primarily people in the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, we do definitely take people outside of the industry that we think could offer things that would contribute. But generally, it's basically an industry show where it's almost like we're trying to get that feel of behind the scenes with people in the industry. So that's why it's Over a Pint. We're just literally sitting there over a pint of beer, drinking with people, and saying what do you want to know about? And we kind of just dive deep and basically, can I swear? I don't know. Are we allowed? I shoot the shit with people in the industry, and it's great. It's a really good way to dive deep. We have episodes, I think our longest aired is 2 hours and 27 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
And we just dive deep on topics, and we just see where the conversation goes. It's minimal editing. I take out RICO violations. I take out anything where it's dull. I might take that part out, but otherwise we just let it run straight through.
And then you've got the podcast, and then you've got the Wheelhouse, which is a private group.
Yeah.
Right. And then of course you've got the One Step Up for your actual clients, right?
So the Wheelhouse Elite, you don't have to be a client to join it. I mean, you can also just pay for access to it. Our clients get in for free. That's basically the way that I kind of break it down is the Wheelhouse, the closed group, it's free. That's we'll tell you what to do, and that the Wheelhouse Elite's all right, now we're going to show you how to do it at every step. So if you want, if we talk about Instagram story strategies, for example, in the free Wheelhouse, on the paid one, we'll actually go in step by step, screen record, show you what you need to do, and we'll be there providing support to make sure you get it done. So it's just basically a little bit more of an advanced group. But the Wheelhouse, I still think there's a lot of value in there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I've been a member for a while, and it's great because you're building a community around your brand. And whether I started this show, Andrew started this show, we obviously don't go out in any Facebook group admin. They don't go out expecting this to bring you business, right? Yeah. It's a chance to meet the people in the industry. Create that relationship, build that connection, and then offer as much value as you can. And you know what? It obviously it does help to build that close-knit community that, man, you know what? It not only brings you business directly, but there's a lot of referring out because you're the best in the business. You've made the members feel like they're appreciated. And, have you found any increase in your business when you've started these different types of programs?
Over a Pint especially, one thing we noticed, we used to be in competition a lot. So, when we were basically dealing with a sales call, that's our episode with Brian. That's actually
I love the logo, by the way.
Yeah, paid a guy for it. Gave me some nice pit stains. That's great. Actually, he does phenomenal work. Draws it, and he
it's great.
Variations. When weed was legalized, we did a joke one called Over a Joint. Didn't film, but it was funny.
But it's a shadow, though, right?
Yeah, it's actually shadowing.
But I love it.
It looks like pit stains.
It's great.
And I can't unsee that now. It was episode 8 when Drew McIntosh pointed it out, and I was like,
he would, right?
Yeah, because it was pretty funny. But it's been used. I used to be in competition a lot. Every time if someone would call us, they're like, "Well, I'm also talking to this person or this person." I'd say by 2 months after the show aired, we less and less started being where now I'm almost rarely talking about I'm also interviewing this company. That very rarely happens now, and a lot of it's from this. But the actual real business for us from the show is not really in the viewers. It's in who I get to sit down with.
Right.
So like we're now the preferred supplier of digital marketing for Royal LePage in Canada. Plus we run their Facebook ads and we run their organic social media right now.
Wow. Crazy.
And that all came from I got 3 hours with Phil Soper over a pint of beer.
Yeah.
Pints of beer.
And you know, I was with Royal LePage at the beginning, and Phil's such a great guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And it's amazing that you get to steal 3 hours of his time.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, right?
That's the beauty of a show.
And Tim Hudak, right?
Yeah, so he was my first guest. So that
I just rewatched the episode actually a couple of days ago.
Yeah. So he was my very, very first guest. But that's where like it worked too, is I was just like, I got the idea, and on like a Thursday, and I just called up and I was like, hey, I'm gonna do this show. Do you want in?
Mm-hmm.
And that next Friday, I was in his office filming. Like it was very quick when we finally did it. I had been toying with like the idea around like the name, because I went through a ton of variations on naming.
Yeah.
And once I figured out this is what I wanted to call it, within like the week, I had 5 guests booked.
Yeah.
But
amazing.
Like, if you're gonna do a show like this, the actual trick that I found is find people who are like, especially when it's the thought leaders you want on, and like big people, look for them when they have something to promote.
Right.
Like, we're working on a guy right now who's agreed to do it. He's just on vacation for a few weeks. Like, big guy. He's writing a book, and it comes out this fall. So he's gonna come on the show, and it's someone I never thought I would have gotten otherwise.
Yeah.
So if you find them at a time when they're looking to promote something, so like Tim, like he probably would have done it anyways because he's a great guy in the industry.
Yep.
But like for them, it was reality. Their big conference at the time was coming up in a few months, so we wanted to promote it and use the show to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. Let's talk about reality while you're on the air. I mean, for me, it's a good opportunity to get someone like that, and like when you have guests like that, it's a little bit of instant credibility.
Well, that's why absolutely. But that's why I wanted to bring you on, because Andrew's not only a master at building Facebook ad campaigns for his clients, but you've done such a great job at organizing these communities that are creating a lot of engagement. I mean, with your Facebook page, a lot of people that I connect with on multiple different groups are there, and they're contributing more into your group than any other group. And why do you think that is?
I think it's because to simplify it, we don't really sell. I mean, there's the odd post that promotes things, but
we help people.
As they put one up there that says summer sale, that's their
Facebook page, not necessarily the group.
We don't sell a ton in it, and for us, it's about providing value. Plus, like I'm in the industry, I think that helps a lot. So, like one mistake I just find people make online is they silo their online and their offline as two separate entities, whereas you should be treating it as one thing. So, like I know, like I go speak at an event. That's something that helps build my online community, because now they're seeing me in person, they're getting that, and I think that's needed. So I think being involved and present in the community has really like helped that thing of like people know like, okay, Andrew's not just some guy who's going to disappear, like
there he is,
pay some guy online and go, and disappear. Like you hear those stories sometimes, like you'll just see me at the next event. If I disappear with their money, you'll just see me there.
But so not only like you're popping up everywhere, and just you kind of alluded to that, but it's also, you've built up such a presence that you were able to even start your own event.
Yeah, that one actually happened by accident.
Yeah.
So I was in a mountain bike race every year, and I'm not someone who's going to win a mountain bike race. Like this is not the body of a elite level athlete.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I'm like, but I'm competitive. Like I'm very competitive. And I was like, well, there is actually a prize for top donor. So I'm like, it raised money for a local women's shelter. I'm like, I could raise more money than anyone else if I would really set myself to it. Yeah. That's not something that, I can lose if I really set myself. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do like the day before the race, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this huge like event. And I did at the time, I was like, I'll just throw like 50 people in a room, $50 a head, and I'll just teach them how to run ads online.
Yeah.
Very straightforward, and that would put me as the top donor. And then when I sold someone who was doing it, he's like, oh, if you do that, I'll come speak. And then someone else was like, oh, I'll come speak for that too, because it was 100% of proceeds going to charity. Like I've actually lost a ton of money doing the conference. But it's worth it. But yeah, so like it just kind of snowballed first year into a full conference.
Right.
And then the next year, again, we were just like, well, the first one went so well, so we added a second day. And that one wasn't going to charity. That one was to pay for day one.
Right.
So we did a smaller, intimate mastermind day. It's a little bit more expensive than the full conference, and that goes to pay for day one, so we can donate more to charity. And then we just did our third one in July, which is actually great. So it's the Blue Mountain Real Estate Conference. I probably should have said that because I promote myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
How long has it been? 3 years now?
3 years.
3
now,
years.
Yeah. So yeah, and this year we're still waiting because we changed venues. It's a little bit slower this year.
There it is.
Yeah.
Sold out. Yeah.
Well, that was the mastermind, so we can't really sell out the main day because they can just keep moving us to bigger rooms.
Oh, okay. Good.
So,
Good.
Yeah.
So no matter what, people can at least get there for the
Yeah.
first day. And so is the first day still a charity thing, or
Yeah, so this year
transitioned? Or?
Yeah, so the only thing we switched this year was because we went
Adding
to
the
a way
masterclass.
more expensive place because it's a better venue.
And
We
especially in
switched
the
from
summer, right?
Well, that's actually not that bad for turnout.
Yeah.
Because we find just as many, like we did one in June versus July, and the attendance actually went up in July.
Good.
The only thing you lose is like cottage country agents because that's their busy.
Their busy time?
Yeah. Everyone else, like if you have enough notice, they can make it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people turn it into like a little vacation because they're coming out to a resort town.
Right.
So you get a lot of people either a couple days before, a couple days after, stick around. So it works out pretty well.
That's great. Okay, so we're gonna head into our last commercial break of the episode, and we'll see you in a little bit.
With so many newspapers within the community, it's sometimes hard to tell what separates us from the rest. Most of the time, they all brag about the same thing. You know, the large circulations, tons of online views, and it can go on and on. But what really separates the Toronto Caribbean newspaper apart from everybody else? Well, it's simple. Our service. No, seriously. Hi, I'm Grant Browning, founder and CEO of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. I have over 20 years of branding and marketing experience, and I've worked with countless companies and corporations to do one thing, and that is to raise their profits with their brand. With over 40 years of combined experience in branding and marketing, our amazing staff is fully prepared to sit down and figure out exactly what you need to stand out from your competitors.
The reason why you don't see that anymore is because
The ad is too powerful, bring too much people.
So what are you waiting for? Give us a call today. We'll be happy to help.
Hello everyone, my name is Jermaine Chambers, and I'm very excited to tell you about the newest political and current affairs program coming here to Brampton. It's called On Point.
The first step of true reconciliation is learning more about one another.
Join us on Tuesdays from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. as we discuss all the issues.
I will never forget the trust you put in me.
Municipal, provincial, federal, and any issue of national importance we will talk about on Point. So do join us.
And we're back. Thank you guys very much for continuing on with us. When we left the last segment there, we were talking about leveraging your community to create more business and build connections. And we were talking about Andrew's event, the Blue Mountain
Real Estate Conference,
which developed as a one-day charity event into a two-dayer.
Yeah.
And so, are you going to be holding that next year as well?
Probably. I mean, it's one of those things where if you ever host like a big event, leading up to it and then during it, you're like, oh, I'm never doing this again. It's terrible. It's a terrible process. And then you do it and you're like, this was awesome. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, probably I'll do it again.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably engage with the venue in the next month or so to talk about dates for next year. I mean, it'll be July again. Yeah. But yeah, we'll probably do it. And then it'll still be 2 days. I don't think we'll ever go past 2 days. We might add like a third client only day. So like our monthly clients, maybe do like something for them.
Well, especially because I'm sure you don't just deal with local clients anymore, right?
Yeah. Oh no,
we have clients all over Canada, North America. Yeah, right. So I mean, that would be a great opportunity to get them all in one room.
Yeah.
But you have a pretty dynamic way of going about your events because you do like expert talks, you have panels, right? Yeah. So how does that work? What type of people are you inviting to speak at these conferences?
So there's a couple different ways. Like one, we do put out an application. But like because I speak a lot, I see speakers all the time.
Right.
So like I know
that's the best way, right?
And when you become like a pretty regular speaker, most of your business will actually come from other speakers referring you.
Right.
Because like I know I'll speak at an event and all the time I get people being like, hey, who do you know that we can speak next year? Because very rarely do events want too many of the same people.
Yep.
So a lot of the time I'll get like, hey, who do you know who can either talk about this or is just like good or a couple different criteria. So we'll help people kind of get in with that way, and then it gets reciprocated because they'll then recommend me for events. Like being around those events I know, and then like we have deals with certain people where I'll speak at their event, they'll speak at my event. So there's a few people who will speak every year. That we try to find ways to still make it valuable, but a lot of it's around what topic do we want, and then I go find. So the panels, it's what topic do I want the panel to be. Then I go find the people that fit the bill that are interesting. And then the actual speakers, a lot of it's just from relationships of me speaking at other events who I think will be valuable, and then who have also gotten me speaking gigs. So it's like reciprocating.
Yeah, of course. Well, you know what? That's led you to. You've got something big coming up, right? Aren't you speaking in the States? What's your next
National
event?
Association of Realtors.
Yeah, the NAR event, right?
That's the biggest real estate.
I didn't want to say it just in case I got it
Yeah.
wrong, just because that's a really big conference to speak at.
20,000. So this is my second year speaking at it. Last year was funny. So I spoke there last year, and my thing was a live demo of Facebook. So of like, let's walk through the ads manager live, and I'll show you how to build a Facebook ad properly. Internet. I had a hardwired internet.
I heard about this. I remember seeing
Wi-Fi didn't work. 2 hotspots didn't work, and the backup Wi-Fi didn't work. So it ended up just the spinning wheel of death on the screen for a live demo. So I ended up having to do we were in a breakout room, so it wasn't anywhere near. I think it was sold out, but maybe it was 200, 300 max. Maybe 200. Not
still a lot of people watching.
It was a lot of people crack, and it did not work at all. So I had to do just like walk around the room, giving them a live demo of how to build an ad on Facebook without actually showing them how to build an ad on Facebook.
So you go here, and in the top left corner, you click this one.
Yeah, it's basically what it. So one thing that I got lucky is it loaded partially, so I could see the sidebar, which is like the legend. And so I could be like, okay, this section, you're going to go and do like this. And we talk about it, give them some best practices. And then it actually worked out because I was just like, by the way, if you guys just leave your card at the end, I'll just email you a recording of me having done this.
Yeah.
And so I had like 90% of the room leave me their contact info.
That's really great.
So, I mean, in that sense, it actually kind of worked out. And then my session ended up getting like a really high rating. I think some of those people just felt bad because of how much it screwed up. But it was pretty funny. So, yeah, we ended up... getting a pretty good rating. I think that kind of led me to them bringing me back this year. So
right.
This year, it's all not relying on the internet.
So what kind of... Was that the biggest event?
In terms of like size of the event, yes. Not in terms of the audience. My biggest audience was a Inman Connect.
Which is
I spoke
huge.
there, and that room, I don't think it hit 2,000, but it was a huge room we were in. But that one was a panel. But I think the biggest like solo talk I gave to a group was about 800.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
NAR was definitely the biggest conference because it's the biggest conference.
Right, and then so for things like that, like we were talking about, is that basically on a referral? People are like, hey,
that's an application process. So
really?
You have to. They put out a call for speakers January, February.
Good.
And then you just go online and apply, and it's. I don't know for sure that this is how they're doing it now, but I was actually speaking to someone at NAR one time who explained it, and basically it's like. They look at everyone who submitted an application. They first look at the titles, and then they narrow it down based on titles. Then they look at the description, narrow it down based on that, and then the final round is they look at who's the speaker.
Who's the actual speaker?
So my first year, I was like, okay, so if they're looking at the title, I want a title that jumps out. Because some people do they get cute with their titles, and it doesn't mean anything unless you know who they are.
Right.
But if they're not seeing who that is, because round one they're just looking at the title, then it's irrelevant. So I put mine literally first year was how to do Facebook ads properly. And it's such like that sounds like a good topic. And then it kind of went down. So I got through that way. And I just kind of got lucky that I'd been meeting with someone at NAR and they'd made an offhand comment about how that year they were doing it.
That's great. And so are you also doing kind of like we just saw a picture. Was that at Arvin's place? Ara's?
I didn't see the picture.
But you do,
I do them all over.
Yeah, so. But you'll do like workshops for brokerages,
we're actually
right?
Going to be announcing one later today, September 17th and 18th. We're going to be doing some in Mississauga.
Oh,
so
nice.
We'll do like a 2-day thing. You can buy tickets to day 1 or 2.
There you go.
Yeah, that's at ours property.ca brokerage, which is technically my brokerage. I parked there. I don't do anything with them, but I don't sell. I just kept my license up.
Yeah.
So September 17th is like a beginner day. So it's like, because like one thing we noticed, like if we do like beginner and advanced in one, like you get the people who are advanced kind of getting annoyed with the beginner content and things
then
like that.
vice versa. Yeah.
So what we're doing instead is saying, all right, you can buy a ticket to just the beginner day, you could buy a ticket to just the advanced day, or you could buy it for both. So we'll do that mid-September. And then we have a couple more private events. Like we're doing one in 2 weeks that's like a under 35 mastermind.
Yeah.
But that one we're not advertising. It's just like we're going through slowly, talking to a few people, bringing them in, and then we're doing one for speakers the end of the month. But that one's not to like there's zero.
That's crazy.
Profit in that.
You got a lot going on. Going on.
It's all we found. Like every time you just get involved in the community, more comes from it. Even if you're not directly like benefiting or profiting, like a lot of these events, I will generally either break even or lose a couple bucks. Like we're never talking more than like losing, $200-$300. So it's not a big deal. But if you look at the long-term ROI, a lot of those events, that ends up being pretty high.
Right. So what's next for Just Sell Homes?
We're working on launching a new package, which will be like our highest one. So that'll start at 2,500. So that's one big one that we're working on. Our developers working through some DDF feed issues. That'll be a big one coming up. And then it's just kind of more of engaging with the community and trying to be around more.
Right.
Helping out. Because like now my team's kind of moving along pretty solidly. So like I can spend a lot more time out of the office and away from the computer.
Right. Well, I think you've got to kind of, when you're that leader, because, you want to do the majority of the work yourself because you're the expert, right? But at the same time, you want to grow the business. And it's really hard to do when you're working 18-hour days on, on these, on the business. Okay. So we got a couple of minutes left. We're going to go. So how can somebody go about finding you, watching your podcast, hiring you? Like do a full plug. You've got so much going on.
So the easiest way, justsellhomes.com. I mean, you can get to everything from there. So like we have, join our free group, the Wheelhouse. That's just, you can join, ask the questions you want. Then we have the Wheelhouse Elite, which is our paid membership group, which is like
tons of value
early. And then you can just hire us to do it for you monthly. And probably the easiest one for a lot of people is we have a service where we just advertise your listings on a one-off basis.
On a one-off basis.
So you have a listing, you want us to advertise it, just flip it over to us. You actually go on our site, there's a tab for listing ads, and we'll advertise your listing. It's $150 a listing, so it's pretty straightforward.
Plus ad spend?
That includes the ad spend for a week.
Oh, it does?
That's amazing. Very first ad,
just a listing.
$250 setup fee. So like
for your first one.
Yeah. Now, if you type in all caps setup promo, it'll give you 50% off the setup fee.
There you go.
And so you can go in.
It pays to listen to the Daily Rail.
Exactly. We can even sum it up. So we actually do have a hidden promo code for a lot of our checkout forms. Cause that's if you just put all caps Han shot first. You can get a little discount on a few different things too.
That's amazing.
With a little Easter egg there. But yeah, so you can just advertise your listing. I mean, in general, for that $150, you'll get between 10 and 30 leads per listing. Sometimes
that's crazy. That's
more,
amazing.
Sometimes you get less. They're lower quality leads, like we were talking about.
Right.
Like that 1 to 2% conversion rates average. But definitely you can get Han shot first. HAN. Han shot. The Star Wars reference.
Star Wars, yeah.
If you know Star Wars, you get it. But setup promo is actually that's a bigger discount for the indie listing stuff. But yeah, it's a good service because we just advertise your listings on a one-off. Right. I mean, it's not a huge moneymaker for us, but for us, what it is it's a great way for people to get to know our services.
Yep.
And see that you can actually generate leads.
Of course, it's the beginning step, right?
Yeah, and it's funny. It's not funny, but because it can be very dependent on the listing itself. Every now and then, someone's first listing is only 6-7 leads.
Yeah.
And you feel so bad. You're you just paid $400, you only got 6 leads.
Yeah.
Then it's but over time, we did one for Drew McIntosh recently. We got 70 cents a lead.
Wow.
And then we're
insane.
Crazy amount of leads off.
Yeah.
And those happen sometimes too. And then depending on your area, downtown Toronto, you're obviously gonna be paying more.
You're a lot of competition there.
Yeah, and it's harder to target.
Oh, okay.
Because it's just such a big group of people. Whereas you go to Barrie or really Burlington, you can just target everybody for so cheap that it's not a big deal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, Andrew, well, thank you so much for coming on. And, if you want to hire Andrew for a workshop, an event, speaking, to run your Facebook ads, give him a shout, justsellhomes.com. Andrew, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
See you next time, guys.